Hey, Salem County. It's Joe Pritchett, career counselor at your Salem Community College. Back with part two of our conversation, Women in Executive Leadership. We're excited for what we've heard already with this group, a little bit of each of their stories, as well as something about their job and their organization, the rewarding parts, the challenging parts, and just kind of how they got to where they are today. For the next part of our session, we're going to take some time to hear some advice from each guest based on a specific scenario that I've given them, as well as to hear from them what they value, what is most important for a person who is looking to get into this track of work. I want to say thanks again to each of our guests, Kathleen Lochbaum, Sue Ann Leidy, Jody Veller, and Carly Melchert. This session was among the most fun I've ever done, and I hope to have more conversations with this group in the future. So just to encourage you to watch this session, have a great time, learn what you can, and reach out if you need advice or some guidance on how to get involved in this kind of work. You can talk to me, or I'm sure any of these wonderful people would have a great heart to talk to you and to give you some guidance along the way. Thanks for being with us today. I sent each of you a series of scenarios, and you have each chosen the one that you think fits your ability to speak to best. And so I'm just going to briefly introduce those scenarios one at a time and then turn it over to my guest who's going to talk about that. We want to make this meaningful for as many people as we can, and we also want to try to keep it to a time frame that works for all of our schedules, so just keeping that in mind. So my first scenario is we have a 35-year-old mother of three, about a year and a half of college gen ed requirements completed, been out of school for about 12 years, and has approximately 5 years work experience in fast food. If this person, this woman, wanted to move into a track that would lead to executive leadership, Jody, what advice would you have for her?
Well, you're definitely going to have to go back to college. And I would look for a non-traditional program, which is what I did, that was suited to my personality. There are things that I do well, and there are things that I just don't do well. And I've gotten 3 degrees without ever having to pass algebra. So I went a non-traditional route, a shorter route, took accounting and things like that for my math. And now there's so many opportunities online. You can't bind yourself, just to what is local. You have to really stretch yourself and look for something that you're going to be able to compete, where they will take 12-year-old credits perhaps, to kind of get in there, but there's no other way to do that to get into an executive leadership position. You have to have that educational background as well. If you can get out of the fast food situation and find entry-level positions in the career that you want to move into, that would be better. And then it's just never giving up. That's just the thing. And during your times of transition, it's hard. There are times when I had papers due, grants due, you're at a new job and it's 10 hours a day, and you just have to push through it, and you will be able to push through it if you're in the right career sector. And the other thing that I would do always is save your money and get a real resume written. Work with a real resume writer, not, no offense, but the guy at the college or the guy at the Success Center or the person here, because I reject more candidates for jobs based on a bad resume than anything else. You really, and a lot of people they don't brag about themselves. They don't know how to brag about the work that they've done, and that's where a good resume writer will come in and help with that. So that's my pitch.
All right. Kathleen, we have a 27-year-old cashier at Walmart with an associate's degree in liberal arts.
Yes, And I also would recommend for this person to go back to school and finish her bachelor's degree, and um, also recommend if you need to work at Walmart because it's a flexible opportunity for you to be able to get that college degree, that's great. But if there are other opportunities, whether it's a work study program at the college itself or some other job opportunity that you can use that would be in any way related to whatever field it is that you're studying, I would recommend doing that. The other thing that I would recommend for anyone who is looking to get into an executive leadership role is learn as much as you can. And I don't mean formal learning. I mean learn in every job that you have. Be the person who wants to learn as much as you can about your job. Be the person that is known for doing good things. Be the person who is known to be cooperative, helpful, good attitude, willing to take on more work. I had a boss one time who told me, never turn down more work. In the back of your head, you may be screaming, but trust me, the person that's asking you to do the work is asking you for a reason, and make sure that they weren't sorry that they asked you to do that. Also, make sure that, understand that your dream job isn't going to be your first job. Every opportunity that you have is leading you down a path, and the path may change over time, and that's okay. And sometimes you're going to have really, really, maybe not a crappy job, but maybe not the best job with some crappy things in that job. Embrace it in a way that you're going to look at it in the best way possible so that you use that as a learning experience, whether it's a challenge to get through it, whether it's a challenge in terms of being able to turn it around into something that's better for you, but do whatever it is that you can to push yourself through. The last thing that I would also recommend is know yourself. Be honest and realistic about the things that you are good at and the things that are challenges for you. Some challenges you may be able to overcome and work on, but some may not be that. Some may just be your personality and your comfort level is something that in any way, whether it's dealing with people, whether it's confronting people, or if if you're going to be in a management role, you need to know that you need to know how to manage people. And it is not always going to be fun, and there are going to be some challenges and times where you need to pull from the deepest part of yourself to be able to get through some tough conversations. You need to know that you can do those things. You need to know that you can manage stress, you can manage anxiety, and that you can handle anything that comes your way. You have to have that self-confidence and a good attitude. It doesn't mean if you aren't comfortable with some of those things or not able to work through them and make them part of your comfort zone, that's okay. You don't have to, you're not a failure if you choose differently because you're working within yourself. I think that's really important for people. And surround yourself with good people and seek out good mentors because they're the ones that are going to help you get through your toughest times.
Carly's going to speak to a 17-year-old young lady graduating from one of our county high schools in 2021.
Yes. So, first off, I would say bless you for knowing that this is what you want to do already. Next, you should determine where you want to work. Like, do you want to be an executive leader in a profit organization, in healthcare, in nonprofit? There's all different places that you can be an executive leader. Being an executive leader in a small nonprofit organization is very different than if I was being an executive leader in a large for-profit organization. So, I really think if listen to your heart. What drives you? What is going to get you out of bed every day to make you go to class and do well in your schoolwork and then to make you want to do this work? You also have to be prepared to work. I can't teach somebody how to have a work ethic. In what I do, I can't teach someone how to be compassionate. If those are things that you don't have, then this type of work is not going to be right for you. You really have to listen to yourself. For me, I have also never been afraid to say, I don't know how to do that. I mean, you heard me say earlier, I don't like grant writing, but I am learning, and finding more courses to make me a better grant writer for my organization. Also, don't be afraid to find other ways to educate yourself, just like Kathy said. I truly believe that yoga helped me be prepared for this career today. It allowed me to gain skills that I just wasn't going to gain in the same experience in a classroom. And then networking. It is never too early to network. I know that it's my skills that allowed me to earn this position. But if I had not been networking, I never would have even applied. I was asked to apply for this position. And when I was asked, I laughed. I'm like, I don't have the skills to do that job. I was coming from an associate's level position to an executive director position. So I was very fortunate that I had people around me to help show me and build me up as to why I was qualified for this position. So having people around you, having mentors, those people are very important. And I can't stress networking enough, and also not burning bridges. No matter how you feel about someone, because there's always going to be somebody that you don't like. You may not leave a job on the best of terms. You may have a professor that you don't like, but you have to find ways to work with them, because especially in Salem County is very small. It's 2 degrees of separation here, and you never know who that person knows. You never want to leave a bad taste in somebody's mouth. So those are my suggestions.
So you think they should network?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking. All right, and Sue Ann, you're going to bring us home on this one. Speaking to a 50-year-old whose children are grown and out of the house, has a Bachelor of Arts degree with a significant employment gap on her resume.
Well, that could almost have been me. I started out, with, I would have gone probably for a Bachelor of Arts, and decided to go to business, to change it over to business. But that and my 20 years at Citibank were a good preparation. Moving 100 people to India versus having 200 people on a job site, we're pretty much 1 in 1. I mean, it's, if you can do one thing, you can do the other. And I was told by my mentor, who said, Sue Ann, there's anything you can't do. Nothing anybody's going to ask you is something that's going to be something you can't do. So some of the advice I think Kathy had said about taking on roles or work might seem like, why am I doing this? Or why should I do extra work? Well, I wanted it to be always the next thing. I looked and said, okay, I'm an admin. What can I be? I got into customer service. That was the better paying job. And then I thought, why is my boss always here late at night? Oh, he's doing these reports every month that have to be turned in on a specific time. And I said, will you show me how to do that? And so out of the team of how many people sitting in there in a customer service pool doing the very same thing, when the opportunity came and his job was, he was promoted, who was the logical choice but me? And I took that every step of the way. I became one of the youngest senior vice presidents at Citibank. They're a global organization. I traveled all around the world. I have been to every state. I have been to many countries. My last stint in India, I came home. I didn't have a job. Boo-hoo for a minute. And I enrolled in real estate school. and I took a 2-week crash course. People said I was crazy. Could be true. And I took the class. I had note cards because, again, there wasn't a whole lot. I didn't have a laptop or any kind of iPad or device or whatever. And I physically wrote out cards. And then every day while everybody went out to smoke during the breaks, I rewrote the entire quiz if I missed just one. So I challenged myself. I am not going to miss one question. I'm going to pass this. I'm going to ace it. Because again, from the salary I had to the salary I didn't have, again, fortunately, I had some separation money and time, but I just couldn't sit and wait for that to be over. I had to go, what do I want to do? And having the building background, having the experience with real estate, and then networking. I was a realtor for 5 years, did very well. Actually had my own business, didn't do very well because that's about when the market crashed. But again, I learned. I am a very successful realtor in the area. This year, I'll probably sell $15 million in real estate as a part-time job, which I don't do part-time, but both of my sons are really the backbone of the business. But all of it is because of networking. I was on the board of directors at the YMCA, and I called Jennifer Jones and I said, Jennifer, they're looking for an executive director. I hear Habitat's looking for one, she tells me. Maybe you guys could swap resumes. Called the board president from Habitat, started talking to her about it, and then got invited to actually apply for the job. So it was from my networking and my relationship with Jennifer that even the opportunity came up. And I couldn't be any more thankful for that now, because I am so passionate about what we do, what the impact is we've had on the community. As of the end of this year, we'll have built 50 homes. There are 50 families not renting or in their own home, and some have passed them on to grandchildren over our 40 years. So I believe in our mission. I believe in the other missions in Salem County. I'm a huge fan of Meals on Wheels. I delivered Meals on Wheels in my corporate role at Citibank. And for a while, I did over here in Salem County. I've gotten a little too busy lately, so but it is still in my heart. And I just felt that all that prep got me to the opportunity that, had I felt sorry for myself, might not have been there.
Well, I hope the people listening and watching today heard some common threads, right? There's no one path, but creating opportunities for yourself by being diligent, looking for new opportunities, definitely a way. Networking comes up a lot. Definitely want to be out there, which we talked earlier about volunteerism. That's a good way to network. You know, go volunteer in one of these agencies, one of these organizations, and see what you can do. So, man, I appreciate you all being with me today. It was really good. In 30 seconds each, is there anything else that you would like us to know that we don't already know? Let's start with Carly on this one.
Look for outside of the box places to volunteer. Just if you're looking for something, you know, just as other women said, they found other work. Just because there isn't a volunteer opportunity, if you don't ask, the question is always no.
How about you, Susan?
Great. That's a great answer, Carly. I also think that by volunteering, you open up your eyes and ears. There have been people that have volunteered at Habitat that ended up being employed after that time. Our assistant manager started off as a volunteer. Our driver for our truck started out as a volunteer. We've had people meet and marry because they volunteered together at a Habitat build site. So it's just time well spent, if you ask me. And so that would be my thing. Just get out there and do it and expose yourself to something new and a new experience. And I think the opportunities will land there, because I think that really shows your character and people appreciate that.
I had no idea Habitat for Humanity was a dating site, but what do we know? All right, Kathleen.
I would say be confident in your abilities. Make sure that you recognize your strengths and weaknesses, work on some of those weaknesses, whether it's through volunteering, like we just talked about, whether it's through learning opportunities, formal or informal. But be confident, know your skills, work on those that are weak, and accentuate those that are strong. And your path is going to find itself. Your journey is going to lay itself right in front of you. If you work hard, you're confident, and you're aware of what you do best and love to do.
And Jody?
I'm going to agree with everything that everyone just said, with the volunteerism, or even if it's a second job or a work study program, you need to break into the field and see if it's even the field that you want to be in. Because
Yeah.
a lot of times the reality is very different than what you have in your imagination. And either way, you're going to gain something out of that experience. And I felt so bad for Carly because she says she doesn't like writing grants. And that's one of my favorite things to do. I'm a really good grant writer, but I also got into that working part-time as a federal grant reviewer. Like I'm a pure grant reviewer, and that helped me learn how to write those grants. And it didn't pay a lot, but it gave me that experience moving forward. So that's one of the things that I was known in the circle that I network in, and did a lot of volunteer work in. So you really just have to go out there and start doing it.
Well, thank you. You opened up so many vistas today that I think we could do another one of these and go at least this long. I think there's so much good experience and good information here. And again, just want to say how much I appreciate each one of you being on with us. And I believe this is going to do a lot of good for our county, both now and in the future. So thanks again, and we will catch up in the future.